The Honourable Member for Calgary Southeast.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to go back again with the Minister of Community and Social Services and share my time. Is that okay?
Please proceed.
Okay, I just wanted to go back. We got cut off there. You had said that the $43.8 million in PDD caseloads. You said part of that increase was due to minimum wage. And again, I just wanted you to answer the question. If you knew there were minimum wage increases coming in your department, how come you were unable to budget for that in the last budget? If you could explain that.
Minister of Community and Social Services.
Yeah, I did mention that there was $3 million to support that increase. That increase was coming in October. And yes, we work with our providers to make sure they have the supports, but that's not the major part of this line. $46.2 million was the total supplementary funding, and for most part, that was due to the higher than expected caseload growth, and it went to support individuals who need those supports to be successful and to be included in the community. And we have worked with individuals with disabilities on many different issues. For instance, support intensity scale. We reviewed it and repealed it. Safety standard regulation, we reviewed it, repealed it. We worked on a new contract template with them for almost a year. So as we have done in all other cases, it's our commitment to this community that we will not impose solutions on them. Rather, we will work with them on all issues that matter to them. And sometimes those issues change, sometimes those individual goals change, sometimes service providers' philosophy of providing services change. So all those things do sometimes cause unexpected expenses that cannot always be predicted and provided for in the budget. But as I've said earlier, our commitment is that we fully believe that nothing about us without us, their slogan, and on all issues we will work with them to make sure that Albertans with intellectual disabilities have the supports they need.
Honourable Member for Calgary Southeast.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Again, to the same Minister, so we talk about just the increase of caseloads and unexpected or unintended consequences. So as a part of that, more people unable to obtain jobs under PDD attribute to this increase, and perhaps that companies that once could afford it because of minimum wage and other initiatives that this government has imposed, are they turning away more people with PDD that is attributing to this particular increase?
Minister?
Thank you. I guess let me put this program a little bit in context. That this program provides from few hours of respite services to intensive 24/7 care with staffing 24/7 and everything in between. And on that spectrum, disabilities vary, individuals' goals vary, service providers vary, their philosophy of providing service vary, but in all, this program is designed to promote social inclusion of those through various services. When it comes to employment, it will depend on the individual goal, if individual has identified employment as a goal. So there are four main categories within the PDD program. Home support, which will be, for most part, provided to almost 80% of individuals who are on PDD caseload. They will receive those services. That's about the staffing, supports at home that help them with their daily living. But there is one stream of service, which is employment support. Other one is community access. So if some individual will identify employment as their goal, then program area will support them to pursue those goals, help them train, help them find employment. So it depends on individual goal. For most part, this program caters to the needs of individual, and at the planning stage, when they are approved, there is a specific plan that identifies their goals of this program in collaboration with individual, their family, their provider. It's a collaborative process. So depending on the goal of individual, if somebody has identified employment as their goal, program area will provide that employment. And over 2.5 years, we have added almost $100 million to this program to make sure that individuals get the supports they need. And it's not a defined benefit. Like, for instance, it's a defined benefit in that you get 1588 from all sources and your income cannot fall below that level. But person with developmental disability program, it's not a defined benefit. It depends. You will get the supports which you need, and that will depend on your identified needs and identified goals. So, thank you.
Member for Calgary Southeast.
So again, in those identified goals, for those folks that employment is important, like you said, not a defined benefit. So assuming that that one particular individual that gains employment would not likely need more support. And if that's the case, are you measuring things like minimum wage in your department, as you mentioned before, an unintended consequence that you were unable to budget for? How many people are coming into your department now that normally could seek employment in some of these institutions that are being turned away because of the minimum wage increase? And is your department looking at that?
Minister of Community and Social Services.
I think with respect to minimum wage, I will say that we believe that all Albertans who are working, they have right to a fair wage. They have right to a fair wage so that they can put food on the table, they can have roof on their head. And increasing minimum wage certainly ensures that. And within our province, there are more than 300,000 people who earn below $15. And out of that, an overwhelming majority, 2/3 of them are women, and often with children. So when it comes to minimum wage, it certainly supports those women. It certainly supports to create a more fairer society, and it certainly supports the government position that we believe that Albertans need to be paid fairly. And minimum wage, in terms of minimum wage, it has nothing to do with this program. Like, these are individuals who have different kind of abilities, and depending on their abilities, when they identify as employment as their goal, we provide them training supports, and all we can do to help them secure the jobs. And if you're suggesting that by minimum wage somehow that nobody is hiring them, that's not the case. We have seen a job increase of 90,000 full-time jobs in Alberta after minimum wage increase just over the period of last year. Yes, there is more work that needs to be done, but we are seeing that things are improving. Our economy is adding more jobs despite that minimum wage increase. And overall, we are seeing that our GDP has a positive growth. Our economic growth rate is 4.5%, fastest in Canada. Our retail sales are up. Our exports are up. Our like every indicator that need to be up is up in our economy, and we are seeing positive signs, and that will have positive effect on all our program. For instance, hopefully we will see a decrease in our income support expected to work caseload. So when economy grows, I think we all benefit.